Hey everybody, Eddie J on crypto. Hope you're having a great day. Normally I would have some news out there for you that you could use to, kind of help formulate or form your decisions on what you might look at in crypto. I've been getting inundated with a bunch of my friends asking me, well, how does the whole transaction process work? So I said, it would be best for me to find a graphic because I wasn't going to make a new one. I just wasn't. So I spent a lot of time finding a great graphic, and I found one by MasterCard that describes the credit card process. And because my company, we own a web hosting firm, we do e-commerce, we do a lot of credit card transactions. We wanted to educate people on how credit card transactions actually work. A lot of people don't understand how it works. They just know they need to accept credit cards and they move on from there. Then I wanted to take that and then explain how cryptocurrencies work, right? So let's dig in. You're going to really like this. You're really going to like this, especially if you're a small business, okay? So let's dig in. All righty. So somebody stops at a store and they say, ooh, I want to buy this. Great. It goes to, the request comes in, goes to the merchant's bank, says, hey, is this credit card real? Is the person real? All that good stuff. It goes through all these processes to figure out if this transaction is going to work. That's the authorization process. Now, the store gets to see the authorization process. So it goes here, starts at 1, goes all the way through to 7, and then they get the note back that says, hey, this credit card is good, right? The transaction is good. That's not actually true. You see these two other steps, clearing and then settlement? Yeah, there's steps after that. And then even beyond that, there are more steps. Let's go through settlement or clearing, right? So then the merchant's bank says, hey, is the purchase information correct? They send it over and then they say, well, clearing system says, reconciliation, all that stuff, both the merchant's bank, the consumer's bank, all that good stuff. Blah, 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 blah. They do their talking, handshaking, all that good stuff. Mind you, the money's been earmarked, okay? Money's been earmarked. And so this transaction is happening. It's not a guarantee that the transaction is going to complete, but the person has already left your store or you have already shipped the goods. Moving on. So, there are ways out there. And then it continues all the way through until, and this is MasterCard's process, MasterCard clearing system validates information and sends purchase information to the cardholder's bank, which prepares data for the cardholder's statement. At this point, it has cleared what it's supposed to do. MasterCard will cover the bill. We're not talking about, chargebacks or anything else like that. We're just talking about a normal transaction. Nobody's trying to rob you or anything else like that. Just I went to the store, bought some sneakers or something like that, bought some kicks. Cool beans. At this point, clearing can take up to a few days. Now, it doesn't normally take up to a few days, but it can take up to a few days. So every night, batches happen from stores. My son owns a cookie store, and they're great cookies, by the way. Just saying, Milk and Cookies in Mamaroneck, New York. So you go out and you do this transaction. At the end of the day, the batches happen, and clearing is what happens after that. The merchant receives an email or an online statement or something like that that says that transaction or whatever list of transactions have worked out. It's good. This can take it says it's good. It's not good yet. It's not good yet. Okay? It says it's good. You're going to get your money. It's not good yet. Remember, the merchant is still on the hook for however long, whatever credit card company says, we will allow the purchaser to fight the purchase. Wow. Nothing wrong with that, but this is how we've been taught. Again, there are several outs for, the purchaser to say, oh, no, I got the wrong thing. Let me return it. It's all open and busted and everything. Merchant takes a hit. They took a hit on the original credit card transaction. They've got to give back all of the money. So they're out money now, right? And this could be a legit thing, but they're out money now. Then, after they're out the money, what then happens is they've got to go return the product. So that whole product process has to happen. But a normal transaction then goes through to settlement, blah, 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 and the merchant gets their monthly settlement and the end user or the consumer gets their monthly end settlement. And again, this can take days, even weeks before that, that record gets sent to both parties. That's reality. Normally, it's between 1 and 3 days. Sometimes it can take as long as 7 days. I mean, for the actual money to actually change hands, right? And remember, there are significant credit card fees. You're paying, depending on how the credit card transaction came through, if it was online, you're paying basically a broker in between the transaction to actually say, oh, we've got the transaction. They transmit that to your merchant service provider or MSP. The MSP then connects to the banking network and does everything else. Do you see that extra process? It goes from the merchant from the website, which is the merchant, to somebody like an authorized.net, right? And then it goes to, or PayPal or Stripe or whatever, but they're sitting right there. Then it goes to the merchant service provider, which you had to get as a merchant. You had to go get that. You also had to get the company that was actually going to take the transaction. A lot of steps, a lot of places with people with hand in your pockets. And this is a trust environment, by the way. So when you look at this trust environment, it's saying, hey, you can trust that you're going to get your $50. Okay, so you get your $50. Less the transaction fee from the first person, transaction fee from your MSP, then all the way through the process, whatever transaction fees happen, right? And then you get less than, less those transaction fees, 10%, 10 cents per transaction or whatever, plus a percentage of the transaction. This is why store owners freak out dealing with credit cards, because every time they have to deal with a credit card, this is why so many store owners really want to deal with cash, because at least they're getting all their cash. They're not taking a percentage hit. And forget it if you're using delivery service. Oh my God, they take a huge hit or take a huge chunk out of your pocket. So this whole payment system is really, really expensive and it's time consuming. Now, mind you, from when the purchaser makes the purchase, that money is leaving their account. If it's a debit card, it's been earmarked and has been moved. Or if it's a credit card, it has been earmarked and their account is being hit for it. Because on your phone, they can normally pull up their credit card and see that they just made that purchase, a couple of minutes ago. Cool thing, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean the transaction's done. It just means that we see your transaction, we acknowledge your transaction. We even give you a cute little transaction ID. Really nice. Once all of this is done, like I said, there's still basically, I call it a warranty period before you can, make that fight to say, hey, I got the wrong product or whatever. So even though the merchant has gotten that money, it's not guaranteed that that money is staying with them. Yay for the merchant, right? Yay for the merchant. That's not fun. If you understand this, when you look at these credit card companies, you can see how that transaction, each, not just the credit card companies, but also the banks, how each one of them everybody except for the merchant and the issuer, how everybody in between is taking a piece of that sale, taking a piece of that money out. Awesome. Now, like I said, this can take days. This whole process before you can guarantee that the money is in your account takes days. Now, at this point up here in the authorization process, this is where the trust comes in. The trust says, we believe that this is an okay transaction, everything's fine. And for 90 some odd % of the transactions that are out there, everything's fine. No returns, no chargebacks, all that good stuff, whatever. Transaction's fine. This happens, not instantly, but basically instantly, right? You put your credit card in, you punch in your number, boop, 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 boop. Authorization is approved and you are allowed to leave the store with the product, or the merchant is, feels free to ship you your product. Cool, right? But again, you still have these two other steps that have to happen. that in your head. Keep that in your head. Remember, a merchant is getting hit with anywhere between 2%, 2%, I think 4%, maybe even 5% of that money goes to whoever has their hand in their pocket. That can be a lot of money. At the end of the month, that can be a lot of money. If you're talking about $100, you're talking about up to $5 plus can be taken out of their pocket. Remember, they don't set their price based on the credit card. They set their price based on what they're paying. Some merchants are getting smart and they're saying, well, it cost me this much. Plus, if you pay by credit card, it's going to be this much, blah, 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 blah. There are rules in there that a merchant can actually up the price. If you're paying by credit card, they can up their price to, basically push the fee back onto the customer. That'll just make customers not go to the store. So they either adjust their price up front or they don't adjust it at all. Again, yay for the merchant. Let's move on over to basically how blockchain works. For the most part, this is pretty much how it works. A transaction is initiated. It goes out to all the nodes. The nodes do their check. They validate the transaction, verify it. And then, it creates a block. Once it's been verified, it gets married to other blocks to equal the size that needs to be done to actually be written to the blockchain. Then it goes to the blockchain as a new block. Boom. Transaction's complete. We're talking about the whole credit card transaction. The one that takes days. We're talking about that whole transaction taking minutes. Even if you said it took hours. I'm going to show you where trust can actually come in this process in a moment. But even if you said it took hours, that merchant is getting the bulk of their money, less teensy weensy little fees for whatever blockchain they chose to use. And boom, they have their money. The transaction cannot be halted or altered because the transaction says, here's my wallet. I have the money in my wallet to complete the transaction. This is the wallet that I'm sending it to. You hear me? The trust comes in round about this point. Why do I say so? Because you have to have the money, you have to have the coin to do the transaction. All these nodes are doing is validating the transaction. Like the credit cards. You hear me? Just like the credit cards. This happens in seconds. This part right here happens in seconds. The validation, this validation part, this part happens in seconds. The validation part is what can take seconds, minutes, or a few hours, depending on which blockchain you choose to use. A lot of them are really, really, really fast. Really fast. I'm talking like seconds to minutes. Really depends on what blockchain you want to use, what coin you want to accept. But at this point, the transaction, you've already confirmed the transaction. I've got the proper wallet that I'm sending to, this wallet that I'm sending from. The person is standing in front of you. They have access to the wallet. Doesn't verify that it's the person, but they have access to that wallet, and that's all that matters. They have access to this wallet. Transaction confirms that it's you. So if you have the right software, like the kind that we're writing, it'll tell you, hey, that transaction's been confirmed. The money is headed your way. It's not going to be sent off to the wrong wallet, right? It would have to be a hack on the blockchain where you've got some rogue nodes. And the reason why they send it out to so many nodes, all of them, and they get verification from X number of those nodes is because if there is a rogue node, they would know because it happens in public. So this rogue node says, no, it's not supposed to go there. It's supposed to go here. These other nodes say, nah, son. And they identify that bad node. Because these other nodes have said, nah, son, it's going to the right place. That's how that works. And that can happen in seconds or minutes, depending on the blockchain you're using. I'm purposefully not saying the names of coins and their blockchains because I don't want to lead the audience. I want you to do your own research. But We are implementing some, and we should be up and running, I'd say by the end of May, we'll be done with our testing. Hopefully long before, but definitely by the end of May, we'll have everything implemented and we'll be helping small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, all jump on the blockchain or jump into crypto because we will have integrated into our current payment platform a whole bunch of coins. But I say this because the other day I made a joke about, Strike might be striking out. And I really didn't mean it. Strike is doing what they can do to actually make transactions happen, or companies in general are making things happen in other countries. El Salvador ran into a problem. NBC sent one of their reporters, there to say, hey, test out Bitcoin, see if it works. They struck out at a couple of stores. I don't think he had any wins with it. But this is what happens. Transaction didn't happen yet. There's no trust. Again, right here, that trust happens already. That's where you can actually have trust that it's coming to you. You can actually receive a message from the blockchain that says, here's the transaction ID, here's where it's coming from, here's where it's going to, and where it's going to is you. Done. The only thing that can happen after that is if there's a hack. And most of these blockchains are not the ones that get hacked. Just saying. It's been bridge networks that have been hacked. It's been exchanges that have been hacked. Most blockchains don't get hacked. Right? Most layer one blockchains, that's really not a thing anymore. There's a lot of security behind it, and there are some that are super secure. Super secure. We're talking about Swift network level secure. I did a video about that a couple of days ago. Just go look at it. But my point is that the whole transaction of the merchant actually receiving money happens at best a couple hours. That's the longest. In worst case scenarios, a few hours. Done. But they're actually getting their money. Done deal. No take back seas. None of that. You'd have to go back to the store with the product and go, hey, you sent me the wrong product. And the store would have to be a reputable place, because hopefully that's who you're dealing with. And they say, oh, yeah, that is the wrong product. Let us send you back your money, refund your money, or, replace the product. That's normal business. But the trust can happen here. And this takes seconds. Blockchain verifies who you are, verifies the wallet has money or has the coin. Once that transaction is done, that coin is locked. It's basically packaged up going forward. At the end of the process, it's done. Merchant has their money. I say this because blockchain moves significantly faster than a few days. And there's nobody except for the blockchain, except for the chain itself, meaning the nodes that are out there. Some of these blockchains, the nodes get paid for validating the transaction. They get a little taste, but that little taste is literally a little taste. So out of $100 that you're charging, you could be getting back $99.50. You know what I mean? You're talking really low transaction fees on some of these blockchains. Again, do your research. Or call a company like ours and we'll help you do your research. But all jokes aside, that happens really, really fast as compared to credit card transactions where you've got a lot more money coming out. For that same $100, it can be like $5 that's coming out of your pocket. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but what can you do with that additional $4.50? Saying that your transaction fee in Bitcoin was 50 cents. That $4.50 that they don't get, that you get, what can you do with that $4.50? Maintain prices, buy more product, pay your employees more. Loads of things. That's actually good for the merchant. You just have to know which coin the merchant just has to know which coin they want to use. And say, hey, we accept these coins. But it can happen that fast. And if you're going to trust a credit card company, and the credit card company doesn't get you here in hours, get you there in days. But if at that trust point with the credit card company, you're at the same place where you're trusting the credit card company, with blockchain, technically, you're there even faster. Once that transaction goes, You're at the trust point. You're literally at the trust point. The blockchain is aware of a transaction that's happening. The nodes have been notified of that information, and you can get a verification code that says that. And literally, you can watch your transaction happen. You can literally watch the transaction happen. When we implement ours, you'll be able to see each one of the steps. It happens that quick. And we want merchants to learn the new process. Why? And it's simple. It's because cryptocurrency, in my opinion, is going to be here for a long time. So get used to it. Anyway, that's Eddie J on crypto. I hope this information helps you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Drop a note in the comments, but like the video, subscribe to the channel, and definitely hit the notification bell so you know when I'm dropping gems. All right. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.